E. Michael Jones is an American commentator and author. He has most recently come to my attention because some people have objected to his advice to the Irish people not to identify themselves as white. Some people will say that the Irish are members of the white race, and therefore it's not correct for them to not consider themselves part of it. But I think there's a very simple misunderstanding with regards to the word white. When E. Michael Jones uses the word white, he means white Americans. And so it's clear, the Irish are not white Americans, but they are white. The reasons that they shouldn't accept the term or the label white is because the leftists in America have generalized the term American white to mean white, and so attacks that can be made on American whites can then be extended to every other member of the white race. And so to reject the label of white is to dismiss all the attacks. I would have come to this conclusion myself, I think, based on some comments that Irish politicians have been making. The publication gript.ie, or maybe just Gript Media, released a montage of various TDs and senators and people using the term white privilege. And my immediate reaction was that they were talking like Americans. That is a talking point taken from America. It is by Americans, it's for Americans and America. And this is Ireland and the Irish people. It doesn't apply here. And I suppose the distinction would be that America as a country, or the United States as a country, was founded by white people for white people, but it contained non-whites. And so you had a system where the country was for some people, but not for other people. And even though between 1865 and 1965 this was all done away with, one could argue that the legacy exists and lingers on here and there. And so this is where the idea of white power and white privilege comes from. European countries like the French, the Irish, the English are much more ancient and much more homogeneous. So any privileges or powers between different tribes would all have been within the same race and would by now be ironed out. There'd be no legacy left. In general, it's not strictly true all the time, but the idea of white privilege in the American sense does not apply to European countries. Thus, the Irish cannot be accused of having a white privilege society, because that's specific to the Americans, and Ireland is not America. I suppose the simplest way to think about it would be, imagine there was a circle for the white race, and inside that circle we'll put all the members of the white race. The Irish, the English, the Germans, the Italians, and so on. One of the people in that box will be the American whites. So clearly the Irish are not American whites, just as they're not French. And if we shorten American white down to just white, then the Irish are not white, as in they're not those whites, despite being part of the broader white race. So I think that's the confusion, and it's as simple as just adding in the words, or the modifier, American, to what E. Michael Jones says, and then it makes perfect sense.